we can get into our discussion topic for the evening. Do some learning.
Do some learning. All right, let's get over to learning.
Just a little bit of learning.
A little bit of learning.
So, tonight, I guess we talked about how to make a character. We talked how to build encounters. We talked about conditions. Tonight, I figured it'd be a good place to start about probably the most common way that those conditions get put on players or get put on to monsters, and that's spells. So, I mean, my favorite way to play D&D, I'm a wizard at heart. Spellcasting, not, however, the most simple thing for new players. So bear with me as we run through spellcasting.
As a ranger that has, or as a player that has played a ranger for almost 3 years, spellcasting still boggles my mind. Can I just throw it at it? Can I just shoot it?
Yeah, no, not that easy. Well, it's not bad once you get a hang of it. And there's ways you can help yourself make it a bit easier. Best advice up front is, whoa, sorry, I got distracted.
That's okay. We hit our hype train. Woohoo!
Hype train! Woo!
Well, that's fun.
It is fun. Thank you, everybody, for the bits.
And did you see the emote there on the hype train?
I did.
I picked that like a month ago, not knowing what it would do.
That was cool. Good job, Paul.
That was.
You'll be kept on. And good job, everybody else here in chat for the bits and the subs.
Thank you for getting us our first hype train, our first actual full proper hype train.
Yeah. Wow.
I think our second emote's going to be a train. No. The other ones are too cute.
I mean, I do love trains. I don't know.
Is there a hype train emote? There's got to be a hype train emote already there.
Choo-choo. No,
you guys can find it.
All right. Where were we?
Something about how bad I am at casting spells.
When we edit the thing, we'll cut here.
That's right.
So basics of spellcasting. There are cantrips, or level 0 if you're coming from an older edition.
Yes.
All the way through 1 through 9 level spells, and your character gains levels, or as your character gains levels, they gain spell slots. You want to bring up that table there, Paul?
I can. Let's go.
All the main casters. Nope.
Wrong one.
Close. All the main casters. Bards, clerics, druids, sorcerers, wizards. I think I got them all.
If you say so.
They all gain, they're called what we call full casters. They gain spell slots in this typical manner. Half casters like rangers and paladins are capped at 5th level spells. There's what they call third casters like arcane trickster rogues and eldritch knight fighters. They get a little less, and then off on their own, totally different thing that's its own episode later on, is warlocks.
Oh yeah, they deserve an entire episode on their own.
A whole thing on their own. But this is pretty predictable. You start off, you don't have very many. They're pretty hot commodity. Spell slots, they come back after a long rest for the most part. There are some ways to get them back quicker than that, but for the majority, you have these spell slots, and once you use them, they don't come back till you have a little nap.
A little nappy poo.
A little nappy poo. So cantrips, if you want to switch as well, those, however, can be cast unlimited amount of times per day. They can do more mundane stuff like cast light, as you can see here, or do damaging stuff like firebolt or poison spray. The neat thing about damaging cantrips is they get stronger as your character levels. So as you can see here with firebolt, it goes up by an extra d10 when you hit 5th level, 11th level, and 17th level. That kind of keeps it in line with the melee and ranged fighters with their swords and their bows and stuff.
Because otherwise you just wouldn't use it.
Yeah, otherwise you just wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
But a small little tip, unlike the melee or the range casters that get to add their strength or dexterity to damage, as a rule, a general rule, there are some exceptions, you do not add your spellcasting modifier to any of your damage. It's just a straight roll.
See, I don't like that.
No, it's not great. It's a little bit of a bummer, but there are ways, like warlocks get it. There's ways clerics can, and some wizards, I think, as well.
As somebody who plays a ranger that unfortunately min-maxed all to hell, It has a lot of mods. I kind of enjoy that. I get saddened when it's just a straight roll. And it's like, I don't get to add anything to this. Okay.
No, that's it.
Just one dice?
No.
Okay.
No dice.
Oh.
All right, so spell slots. And the best way I can think to explain spell slots is think of spell slots like cannons. Everyone loves cannons. A level 1 spell slot is a small cannon. Level 2 is a bit bigger. Level 3 a bit bigger, right up to level 9, which is the biggest cannon. And spells themselves are like cannonballs. So as you can imagine, a level 1 cannonball can fit, quite easily inside a level 1 cannon. But it could also fit inside a level 2 cannon, level 3 cannon, because the diameter of the cannon is big enough that spell can fit in. But in the reverse, like a level 9 cannonball can only fit inside a level 9 cannon because the size there, right?
Makes sense. I like that.
There's no once, like, if you prepare your spells or when you have your spells for the day, you can cast them as many times as you want. So if you have a level 1 spell that you just really love, like take Magic Missile or something at level 1, I mean, you can cast that at level 1 to 9. There's bonuses to casting them at higher levels. So for example, if you want to haul up the other one there, Paul.
Apparently we got a level 1 hype train emote.
Whoop whoop.
Share? How do I share this?
I have no idea.
Great work. Emotes are being delivered to supporters. Oh, sweet. You guys, cool. Yeah, you guys unlocked some emotes. That's epic.
Nicely done, folks.
Pop that cherry.
Appreciate it.
Pop it.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Let's see everybody that got it. I want to see. Right. So, spells.
Oh, right. Back to spells. We'll cut here again. It's fine. So haul up the higher level spell sheet, please, sir.
See, this is the problem with doing a show live and like interacting with people at the same time, and like when exciting stuff happens.
Super difficult.
That's right.
So this is a fireball spell. Everybody loves their fire blams. And it's typically a 8d6 fire damage when using a level 3 slot, but you can see at the bottom there where it says higher levels. If you cast at level 4, it does an extra d6, so on, so on, so forth. So like a level 4 would be 9d6, not 8d6. Make sense?
Makes sense to me.
All right, so leave this up here real quick. So run through the things here. So when you're looking at a spell, like we have here in front of us, you see casting time. Casting a spell is typically an action. Takes your whole turn in combat to do, but it can be a bonus action. Some spells are 1 minute, 10 minutes, or some that take an hour. Keep in mind, every round is 6 seconds. So if you're trying to cast a spell that takes a minute in combat, that's 10 rounds. So get comfy. It's not listed here, but some spells have a thing called concentration, which basically means you have to think about the spell every turn to keep it going, like if it has an effect. And you have to when you take damage, you have to make a constitution save of either half the damage you took or 10, whichever's higher. This gets forgotten a lot, as Paul can attest in our home game.
Yep.
You have your range there, so that's the range from you to your target. So this fireball has 150 feet, so that's 150 feet in any direction around you. It has components. So you see it has VSM. So V stands for verbal. It means you have to say something to cast a spell. I mean, you don't actually have to say anything at your table. You can come up with something if you want. But your character theoretically has to say something. That's why spells like silence are so powerful. If you can't talk, you can't cast fireball. The S stands for somatic. Somatic? I always get that word wrong. It's basically hand gestures if you're a hand talker. That's why you need to have a free hand. So typically, if you're a cleric or something, you can have a shield in one hand, but you have to have your other hand free so you can make gestures and whatever you need to do. Again, if you can't move your hands, you can't cast a spell.
Just think jazz hands.
Hands, total jazz hands.
S stands for jazz hands. Or jazz hand. Just a one hand.
Sure, that works. And then you have the M stands for material component. As you can see here, a fireball is a tiny ball of bat, guano, and sulfur. Typically, those things are contained in component pouch, or if you have an arcane focus, will cover that. It's more just for flavor than anything else. But if you want to scroll down a little bit,
I think it'd be a really cool RP opportunity if you were in a cave and you could totally say, hey, there's definitely bat guano around here, and just like scoop it up and like threw it and turned it into a fireball. I'd be down
That'd
for
be
that.
cool.
I'd
if you watch,
I'd give bonus points for that.
oh, that'd be worth some inspiration for sure. That's cool. But as you can see here, so this is Hero's Feet. This is a higher level spell. You can see the casting time's a bit higher. But if you look at the material, it says a gem encrusted bowl worth at least 1,000 GP, which the spell consumes. So materials only really matter. They always kind of matter, but they only really matter when it gives a gold value. So in this case, you need to have a gem encrusted bowl worth 1,000 gold. And once you cast Hero's Feast, that bowl is gone. If you want to cast it again, you need another one. Many high level spells like Resurrection need diamonds. It's all the same. However, there are some spells like Chromatic Orb is a level 1 spell that requires a diamond worth 50 gold, but doesn't consume it. So once you have that gem, you can put it in your pocket and keep using it every round if you need to.
Sweet. I did not know that. I thought all of the gem requirements were consumed.
No, it will specifically tell you if it consumes the material. Cool. If it doesn't, you still need to have that worth of item, but you can keep it forever.
The more you know.
Yeah. So there are some spells, like I said, you can cast as a bonus action. In general, if you cast a spell as a bonus action that has a spell level, rules as written say that then as your action, you can only cast a cantrip as a spell. Often this is homebrewed to a level 2 spell, but that's up for your table to decide. Depending on your class, bards, clerics, druids, and wizards can cast spells as a ritual. So you'll see spells that might say just a ritual tag on it. What that means, it's whatever the cast time is plus another 10 minutes. So if it's an action, but you can cast it as a ritual, you can do it for 10 minutes and 6 seconds. The bonus to that is you don't have to use a spell slot. It's kind of free, but you got to sit there for 10 minutes, which may be sketchy.
I like free shit though.
Yeah, free is nice. If you can get away with it, it's a good little perk.
100%. And also an opportunity for your for your party to maybe like defend you, and then your DM to like come up with something on the fly.
Yeah.
To be like, random encounter. Let's roll every minute.
For sure.
And see, right? So
yeah, that's a great idea, right? Like while you're trying to get that Lehman's tidy hut up, which takes 10 minutes, you know, defend the wizard while he's getting your safe haven up. I mean, it's a great idea.
See, I have such great ideas for a DM. I just never do them.
You do one time. It was great.
One time. It was okay.
And you can bring up that other sheet though. So this is the best thing I found on the internet for D&D for spellcasters. This is from a Reddit user called Gaucho Pictures. This is a free thing he put up. He did these spell cards for every class. I mean, even barbarians and stuff, which you don't need. It's a way, if you look at these laminated or you put them in like a sheet protector thing, you can mark on them with some dry erase, track your spell slots. The reason why I wanted Paul to bring this up here is you can see in the bottom, it talks about spell save DC and spell attack modifier. Basically, your spell save DC is a spell you cast on someone like Fireball, for example. You don't roll to hit, people roll to avoid it. So they have to roll higher than 8 plus your proficiency, plus your spell casting modifier, plus any magic items you have. But your attack modifier is just your proficiency plus your spell casting modifier. Same as if you were swinging a sword with your strength or shooting a bow with your dex. Same kind of difference.
See, that was the part that confused me when I first started playing a caster.
Yeah.
As a non-caster. Or as somebody who has playing a class that has like one damaging spell.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's a little different because sometimes can be a little anticlimactic because there's sometimes what Wizards of the Coast did is there's some powerful spells that, you know, either if they save, do nothing, but if they fail, you know, instantly kill them, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So sometimes you might cast a spell that kind of just fizzles. Like if you're trying to polymorph, you know, a big dragon into a little bunny rabbit that you can like throw in your bag of holding, right? You might, like, you know, if they succeed on their saving throw and just nothing happens, which can be a little anticlimactic on your turn, but when it does happen, it's so exciting, right? So
Yeah.
it's
I think
it's
that's
cool.
I think that could be up to the DM that describes the fail as well. I think that as if you fail
Mhm.
a spell like that, you just describe how it fails, and it could be a lot of fun. So like for example, if you see the dragon start to like get smaller and smaller, and he looks like he's terrified, and he starts growing a little bit of wool, and then it just stops and he bamps out of it, kind of thing. Like that'd be a fun way to
Yeah,
fail, right?
that would be fun.
Yeah. Larian did a really good job with this in Baldur's Gate 3. They made it fun to fail, right? That's the thing that they keep on going on with it, is because if you fail something, you just go on a different path entirely. So you just go down another dialogue path, or you do something else,
Yeah.
or like it's not, if you fail, you don't just like walk away with nothing. It just, you went in a different direction, and it's a ton of fun for anybody that has played that game already.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can definitely see. I mean, if I was a big scary red dragon and you tried to turn me into a bunny rabbit, I feel like I'd be looking for the guy with the pointy hat who, right? Who just tried to do that?
Guess who just went to the top of the threat list?
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Right.
So you can have a bit of fun with that.
That's right.
So the I guess the trickiest thing I'm going to bring up about spells is you don't always just have them. It's probably the best way to say it. Clerics, druids, paladins, and wizards basically have access to every spell in the spell list. Wizards have a spell book, they have to put them in, but certainly clerics, druids, and paladins, any spell that's tagged with those classes, they have access to. However, after a long rest, they have to prepare a small list, which equals their spellcasting modifier. So if you're a cleric or a druid, your wisdom. If it's a paladin, it's your charisma. It's your spellcasting modifier plus your class level. So if you're a level 1 cleric with a +3 wisdom, you can prepare 4 spells a day. Now, it could be any 4 spells a cleric can prepare, but you can only prepare 4. This gives you a little bit more versatility, because if you know that tomorrow you're going to go to a sunken ship, you know to prepare some underwater breathing and that kind of stuff.
Makes sense.
Versus bards and rangers, sorcerers, warlocks, and everybody else, they know a certain number of spells. That's it. This is all you know. Every level it tells you learn one more, and now you know it. Now, rules is written, every time you level up, you can swap out one spell for a new spell of a level you can cast. So you're not stuck, but it's slow to change as the current rules are. In a recent Unearthed Arcana, they made it so you can actually switch one out every long rest, which makes bards and rangers and stuff a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, and we had a conversation earlier as well about that with I keep on bringing up Baldur's Gate 3, but it is on our minds because we are playing it right now. But they made a change to how wizards work. I'm not sure about anybody else's, and we haven't confirmed this. One of our friends pointed it out to us. But basically, any time that you're not in combat, you can change out your spells as a wizard. Again, we haven't confirmed that, but I can see it. I can see them making that change for a video game. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to have that flexibility. No one likes being stuck. I mean, certainly how long in Baldur's Gate 3 you're stuck between long rests. That can be annoying.
Oh, I have a story for after hours for what happened last night.
I'll remind you.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more point to make, I guess, with spells, and this is more towards dungeon masters than players. My best advice for spell slots for dungeon masters is just ignore them. Honestly, if you get into making running an encounter where you're running a lot of casters, trying to track spell slots, even with sheets, can be a bit of a nightmare. Considering the average life expectancy of a monster in combat is like 2 to 4 rounds. Typically what I do is if I'm running a sorcerer or a wizard that can cast up to level 5 spells, I'll pick one level 5 spell that I want to be the feature for the battle and make sure they only cast that once, and then just pretty well have at the rest of them. Who cares?
That's really good advice as well, because as a new DM, it can be really, really intimidating to look at a stat block and just go, okay, what do I cast? You plan something out ahead of time and just kind of say, okay, well, this this makes sense. Let's do it this way. Let's just do this one and make sure that gets cast.
That's right.
The other one too is the have we talked about action-oriented monsters or not?
No, we haven't.
Maybe we should do a section on that, because those are really, really cool. The basis of an action-oriented monster is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's once they get to a certain level of hit points, an action happens. It just happens. So that way, if you're familiar with any sort of video games, the same like raiding in World of Warcraft or anything else, is once they get to say 75% health, then they move on to stage 2 kind of thing. And something will happen that they automatically cast it. It doesn't have to be in their stat block. It doesn't have to be on their turn. It doesn't have to be an action. It's something that happens once they hit that point.
Yep. That's one way. I mean, the other way they do action-oriented monsters is just on round 1, they do this. On round 2, it's this.
Sorry, yeah. That's
which is the other way. Which there's that way as well.
Yeah.
Using the health bar, like a video game boss encounter, which is fantastic. I love it. And it kind of gives your players that bit of a, ooh, we hit a little milestone here, something. They just, I don't know, broke apart the ground. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's lots of ways. That's definitely something we can talk about in the future.
Definitely, we'll do that. It's just a really cool way to build encounters, because you can add more things in, and you don't have to think about it in the time that you're doing it. You just go, oh, okay, yeah, this is what happens now, right? So
yeah, one of my biggest regrets from our home game at the end of Horde of the Dragon Queen was you guys were in that flying castle at the end fighting the bad guys, and I had them all statted out. I rolled the 2 bosses that were there with you, like players. They had so many cool abilities. I mean, they did most of them. It was still a hard fight. Like, you died. But there was stuff.
No, I don't die in our games.
No, never. I mean, you did tank one of them by yourself, but I forgot stuff, as you know, because you're only one brain running any number of bad guys.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad if you forget stuff, or you try to make your life a bit easier on yourself, like forgetting about spell slots as a DM.
No,
players, no forgetting about spell slots, but DMs, yeah, whatever. Different rule set.
Yeah, and in my experience in DMing, if I was to go ahead and do it again, or to do another one shot or continue that campaign, I would 100% do some of the things that we've talked about in this channel and some of our other videos and other episodes, as far as preparing things ahead of time that you know are going to happen. And that's not over prepping, but that's just saying, okay, this is going to happen. I'll make it happen at an objective point, as opposed to, oh, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Once you have those like objective points down and written down so that you know you're not going to forget them, it's a lot easier to just let it go and let it kind of happen, and you can react to what's happening on the battleground, as opposed to the more of a meta thing of like what's happening in the fight, what's happening in the whole battle as a whole, right?
Yeah, and it lets you sit down as a DM and kind of enjoy your game too, which is sometimes hard to do.
Which is important.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, gotta be having fun, right? I mean, that's why we're all here.
I stressed out so much the first time I did it.
Everybody does. Don't feel bad. You did great.
It's intense, and you don't know what your players are going to do.
Nope.
You go completely off the rails and be like, It almost happened a couple times, and I was like, please don't.
Too funny.
How much we're done with the education?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got on spell slots. Of course, if you guys have any questions, additional stuff, feel free. Eventually this will get posted on YouTube, so if you're watching it there, if you got questions, post in the comments. We have our Discord, we have our Reddit. If you have questions, we will try to get to them.
100%. We're pretty responsive on our Discord. It's turning out to be a really super cool community in there too. So
it's fun.
How much? And here's a question. Here's an important question. How much do you have left in that beautiful stein of yours?
I just topped up, so I'm on number 2.
Without me?
I'm thirsty.
Disappointed. I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends.
We are friends.